Errol Spence Jr., he's training. What is he training for? Maintaining his shape. Could it be Crawford? Is he just staying ready so he don't have to get ready? That's what I want to talk about in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Luis Cuba Arias, boxer, who just fought on the Gervonta Davis card, he says, quote, "I'm walking around New York City looking for donuts, and I see Errol Spence Jr. running them miles. Must be some news coming," end quote. Now, I'm so happy that Luis Cuba Arias cued us in, because I personally didn't go to New York for this fight, and I really wish I did, but I didn't. And it just gives us, as boxing fans, the intel, because that's some of the stuff that slips between the cracks. You don't know what these fighters do. So Errol Spence, he was definitely there. We know, and there's a lot of viral videos and posts where Errol was sitting next to Danny Garcia with his son, and behind him was Ryan Garcia, also in attendance for Gervonta Davis's fight. Goes to show you how big of a star that Gervonta Davis is. But with these videos, like the one Errol Spence betting $20,000, 20 bands versus Ryan Garcia that Tank would win. Errol Spence obviously won by rocking with Tank. There's also videos of Tank warming up in his back locker room, and Gervonta Davis and Errol Spence have an exchange in the locker room, I think before and after the fight. So Errol Spence was there. He was in New York. He went out to support his fellow American and friend, Gervonta Davis, which was a great big event and a great fight. I made separate and several videos explaining that fight, and I got a couple more videos that I definitely need to talk about of Gervonta Davis and the Rolly fight. So Errol Spence training, could he be training for Terence Crawford? That's the $1 million question. It's not clear right now, but all the indications look like they're at least in negotiations and things are looking cool, right? Errol Spence, when he was interviewed at the fight in media scrums, he said negotiations are ongoing, so we'll see. I love this attitude, because if this is the fight that everybody wants and everybody wants to see, needs to see, and this gives his trainer, Derrick James, an opportunity to have two undisputed fighters concurrently with all the belts. I don't really know historically if or when that's ever happened. And, I'm not Burt Sugar, Emmanuel Stewart. So if you guys do the research, this is a freestyle video. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I would venture off to say this has never happened where one sole trainer had two undisputed fighters concurrently. And the other fighter, of course, is Jermell Charlo, who knocked out Castano in a brilliant fight and performance. He made the adjustments as I predicted and got the stoppage as I predicted. So Derrick James, that would be heavy if he, and not, let me say this too. It's not just about getting undisputed, because we live in the modern times of the alphabet belts and multiple ways to get belts and too many belts and stuff like that. But we know 147 and 154 is stacked. We know 154 and 147, you got to be a killer. You got to be someone real. So those are two of the best divisions in all of boxing in terms of talent-rich divisions. So if Errol emerges as the undisputed, he had to go through real smoke. He fought all champions. Kell Brook, hey, start that cat. Kell Brook was like, basically, so realistically, he was talking about chocolate brownies and all this. Errol Spence went to his backyard and took that strap up off of him. Strap season, hey, start that cat, man down. Fought Sean Porter. Fought him, Sean Porter resides in Vegas and they fought in LA, so it's closer to Sean Porter's home and camp than it was Errol Spence being from Texas. And Errol Spence took that strap off Sean Porter for the WBC. So that's how he became unified. And then he also unified most recently, a couple months ago, against Yordenis Ugas, nearly shutting his eye, coming off Ugas's best performance versus Manny Pacquiao. So Errol Spence is the man. Terence Crawford, he's a phenomenal fighter. He's been promoted a bit different with Top Rank, and he hasn't had the same looks and the same elevated competition, in my opinion. But nonetheless, he's a respected fighter. We know him for what he can do and that he's a terrific guy and opponent. So if Errol Spence and Derrick James can get that done, that would be an incredible run for any trainer. Again, I don't remember a trainer that had that many undisputed people at one time. Now, Derrick James did post this on his verified social media. It says from world champions to undisputed and unified world champions. And he's showing progress pictures 5 years ago versus, more recently. So he's basically showing how his stable earned it out the mud through the hard way, and this could be a hint of a potential Terence Crawford fight. Now, I gotta talk about this. I'd be remiss to not mention this aspect in this video. And I'm going to keep every video I make about this. I'm going to keep talking about this because the message must be out. I use my channel for good and to talk real issues. Errol Spence is owed an apology by a lot of people. Not me, because I never doubted, but old media, a lot of the Bud Crawford fans, a lot of the Bud buddies and, the detractors. They owe this man, Errol Spence Jr., hey, stop that cat, man, down, an apology. Because if Errol is running in New York when he's supposed to be enjoying his time, he could just be chilling with his son. He got to get a babysitter or his girl or whoever to watch his kid while he's in town for a Gervonta Davis fight. That shows that he's all business. What else does that show? Errol Spence, it never made sense what old media was trying to say about the man. They were saying he was scared of Terence Crawford and he was ducking, but he took the harder challenges at the times he took them, which was a tougher schedule, aka the heavier lifting. So that is not indicative or does not show me that somebody is fearful. If you are fearful, like if someone is afraid of heights, they don't go rock climbing. If somebody is afraid of spiders, like my ex, I had an ex-girlfriend and she was deathly afraid of spiders. Like it just creeped her out, bugged her out, no pun intended. She couldn't even kill a spider, remove it, nothing. I'd have to remove the spider if there's one on the wall. She would just freeze up and freak out kind of thing. If you have arachnophobia. So if there was a budophobia, so to speak, and Errol Spence was truly ducking, as the Bud Crawford fans and some of Bud's team and different people kept egging on and trying to spread this narrative, why did he take the tougher fights? If you're a scary person or a scary individual, wouldn't you take a lighter schedule like the Terence Crawford schedule? And I'm not saying Crawford took them because he's scary, because I think he's a dog. I think he's a great fighter, but I am saying he didn't have the same looks, and that's apparent. He didn't have as many kids of note in the same playground. His promoter didn't go above and beyond to make sure he nabbed and got those fights. So Crawford's career as of late is what it is. His last two opponents, this is not my opinion. See, people get mad because I'm brash, but it's not going to change. I'm brash because facts are facts. People want to look and read in between the lines and make something more complex than it is. I like to, just like mathematically, break these equations down and simplify. Errol Spence had the tougher schedule. Simplify. Errol Spence did the heavier lifting. Simplify. Terence Crawford's last two opponents that he fought with Top Rank to close out his contract were Errol Spence, quote unquote, leftovers. Guys that Errol Spence Jr. had already beaten in previous years. That was Kell Brook, and Errol Spence beat him when he was undefeated at welterweight, and Errol Spence beat him in his backyard. So to me, that holds more merit than Kell Brook firing Dominic Ingle, firing his trainer Eddie Hearn, getting a trainer he met off Instagram, and going into the Terence Crawford fight in a bubble in the times of Rona. That was the pandemic year, and getting socked up and knocked out in the fourth round. It looked like he showed up for a check, and then one fight later, he beats Amir Khan, another guy who people felt was pretty much done, and then he retired. So that shows you where he was in his career. Boom. Same thing with Sean Porter. Sean Porter has done major interviews and got his own podcast, said he had arthritis in his hip, and he knew he was retiring after the Crawford fight, win, lose, or draw. So it kind of looks like a cash out. Versus when he fought Errol Spence, he didn't even have a podcast. He got his podcast and started that up during the pandemic when boxing was slow and social distancing, and we didn't know fighters were getting pulled from fights for testing positive left and right. You know what I'm saying? So I never understood this narrative that Errol Spence was ducking, and it just didn't make sense. It sounded like something people were trying to force. It was a reach. It is what it is. But I like to see Errol staying active, staying in shape, mentally, this makes a better fight, and it makes a better Errol, which makes a better fight. And, you know, hopefully they get it made. Subscribe to the channel. I'm the best. Let me know in the comment section how I did. Errol Spence training for something, whether be it staying in shape, or maybe he thinks there's a strong likelihood the Crawford fight goes through. Crawford was on Sean Porter's podcast, and he said he's very confident. And again, the whole notion that Errol's ducking and stuff, you owe Errol an apology, because if Errol is ducking, how come he did everything he said he was going to do? Hey, you do whatever you do, and I'm going to clean up my side of the street, and then after, I'll come see you. Because now I've taken care of and took care of all the fights that are aligned with us, easy to make, built my brand, built my profile. So if Errol's next fight is Crawford, then that means the man is congruent with what he said he was going to do all along from the beginning, and people made a big deal out of nothing while Crawford couldn't get big names because of his alignment. So that's not Errol Spence's fault. As a man, he's done what he said he was going to do. Drop it all in the comment section. And I'm out. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxing Ego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with a $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new, interactive, and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.